Jonathan Marchessault and the Vegas Golden Knights have agreed to a contract extension. We're going to discuss the contract as well as his story and how he got to the NHL. And that's coming up next. Hey everyone, and welcome back to another video here at Top Shelf Hockey. If you're new to the channel, thanks for stopping by. On this channel, we review and discuss all 31 NHL teams with an unbiased opinion. So if you're a huge hockey fan, hit that subscribe button now so you don't miss anything. Alright, first of all, let's discuss the contract extension between the Vegas Golden Knights and their forward Jonathan Marchessault. He's agreed to a 6-year deal worth $5 million per year for a total value of $30 million. Obviously, I think this contract is very well deserved by Marchesault. He's come off a 30-goal season last year for the Florida Panthers, and he's performed extensively well for the Vegas Golden Knights so far, averaging more than a point per game. As the time of this, he has 37 points in his last 35 games, and has done tremendous for the Golden Knights in providing a lot of scoring within their forward group. So I think this contract extension is very well deserved. I think going into this season, there was a belief that the Vegas Golden Knights were going to be taking a lot of potential UFA players just to give them like a 1-year trial and probably sell off a lot of their assets towards the deadline in order to recoup future assets as they build for the future. But the Vegas Golden Knights are surprisingly good, becoming one of the top teams in the NHL, and is by far the biggest story, in my opinion, during this season so far. They've taken everybody by surprise. I don't think anybody's surprised anymore, but most people are still quite curious to see just how far they can take this. But with the Golden Knights being one of the top teams in the league, that's largely due in part to players like Marchesault having tremendous seasons. So I think this contract is very fair. He's on pace to outdo last year's statistics. And in a minute here, we're going to get into his story. And I think if you don't know the background of Jonathan Marchessault, once you see this guy's story, I think you'll think he's well deserved as well. That finally, even though he's a little bit of a late bloomer in the NHL, that he certainly deserves a chance. And the contract extension is definitely justified. So Jonathan Marchessault started off playing his junior hockey in the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League, seeing as that he's from the Quebec province of Quebec, and he's actually performed quite well. He put up 239 points over 254 games for the Ramparts, but surprisingly he went undrafted. Even though he performed as an offensive star for the Ramparts in the Q, hard to say why. I mean, he is a smaller guy, and I guess we were kind of still at the tail end of the belief that the smaller players were going to have a harder time to succeed in the NHL. Obviously, and right now, I think that belief is not really there anymore, and you're seeing smaller players be drafted higher and get more opportunities since it's more of a skill-based league than it used to be. But you know, he had a tremendous junior career, and he didn't even get drafted. He went through the draft a couple of times and did not get selected. So this guy's been an offensive star really his whole hockey career, starting in junior, but never really got the chance immediately. He went undrafted. Eventually, he got signed by the New York Rangers. He got an AHL contract. At the time, they were called the Connecticut Whale. He had a 1-year deal. He actually played pretty well there, but after that, he didn't opt to re-sign with the New York Rangers organization. After that, he actually had a chance to actually get an entry-level contract with the Columbus Blue Jackets organization. Now, although he never did play for Columbus, that's technically who gave him his first NHL contract. He mainly played in their AHL affiliate, and he performed quite well. His first full year with the Columbus Blue Jackets AHL affiliate, he was their leading scorer. The next season, he was having a pretty good season as well offensively, and they traded him at the trade deadline. Hard to imagine. It seems like this guy's just had a real hard time catching a break. So as part of the trade deadline, he was included with some other minor league players in a deal with the Tampa Bay Lightning. It was a very minor deal, and no NHL players were involved. So it seems a little strange to me that at the trade deadline, the Columbus Blue Jackets, they have this player who's went undrafted. They signed to an entry-level deal, is doing tremendous work for their AHL affiliate, and then without ever getting a chance to play in the big league, gets traded. A little weird, but you know, I guess some guys just don't catch any breaks. So the guy goes to the Tampa Bay organization, and there he did get some opportunity. He mainly played with the Syracuse Crunch, their AHL affiliate, did quite well, played out the remainder years of his entry-level contract with Tampa's organization. He performed quite well in Syracuse, and he did get called up towards the end of the second year of his entry-level deal, which would have been his first full year in Tampa. He did get called up. He got to play a couple of games right at the end of the season and actually did quite well. His first game, he had a couple of points and was the game's first star. Then he was sent back to the AHL to play with the Syracuse Crunch for their playoff run. And then once their playoff season came to an end, he did get called back up in Tampa and had a chance to be one of their Black Aces. And due to Ryan Callahan getting hurt, did get into some games, and he didn't do too bad. Last year of his entry-level deal, he was still obviously with the Tampa organization. He did get more opportunity after ending the season well with the Lightning and getting into a few playoff games. He ended up playing in 45 games for the Lightning the following year, and in 45 games he obtained 17 points. So for his full, you know, we can't really call it a full season, but for his first longer-term crack at the NHL, considering the depth of the Lightning too, like, he didn't do too badly, but of course he didn't get re-signed. So again, he's looking for a new home, and I'm not really sure what it is there. That could have been more of a case of him looking for another team that might give him more opportunity. I'm not sure if the interest was from the Lightning or not exactly how that went down, but he didn't end up signing. So that's how he ended up signing with the Florida Panthers. Now obviously the Florida Panthers signed him, but he didn't get a long-term deal. No surprise, because he wasn't really established yet. So last year with the Florida Panthers, he has a tremendous breakout season, scoring 30 goals. And on a team for the Panthers, who really had a bad season. As you can tell this year, they're not doing a whole lot better. They are struggling to score. And obviously I know the expansion draft rules were very favorable for Vegas to have a crack at more better quality players than we've seen in the past. But what happens? He goes unprotected. A 30-goal guy, and he's young. I mean, at this point I believe he's 27. But you know, still, like, he's just coming into his own. He scores 30 goals. And you leave him unprotected on a team that doesn't have a lot of offense. Yes, they've got some top guys. You know, they've got Huberdeau, they've got Trocheck, you know, they've got Bukestad. They've got some good young forwards up there, but there's certainly more than enough room for them. They could have made room for Jonathan Marchessault. I think that was a big mistake on Florida's part, leaving him unprotected, and look what's happened. He's continued that on. Now, I know when the expansion players that were available were first released, I wasn't completely shocked, because at this point in time you have to think, is this something that Jonathan Marchessault could keep up? You know, with only 1 year of a full solid season, even though it was a good one, under his belt, you know, is he going to be able to keep this up? Like, you know, like, is it a flash in the pan? It does happen sometimes. You see players with a, you know, with a one tremendous year and then they can't keep it up. Like, it happens quite a bit. So obviously he's proven that he can. He ends up in Vegas, and now he's becoming even more of a well-known star in this league, averaging more than a point per game. He was a star in junior, almost a point per game player. His stats in the American League: played over 300 games, ended up with 263 points. So not quite a point per game player, but not far off. If you consider, if you take out his rookie season in the junior league, he was more than a point per game player. So like, he's been an offensive star his whole career. He's produced at every level, and I can't believe he's gone through. This is his 4th NHL organization. Well, really, if you look at it, the Rangers gave him a shot, but only kept him in the American League. Columbus gave him his entry-level deal, never got a chance to play, and they traded him during his 2nd season in the American League, even though he was doing very well down there. Goes to Tampa, gets limited opportunity, but then has to leave. Goes to Florida, finally breaks out in the NHL, goes unprotected, and now technically, I guess you could say, he's with his 5th organization. I mean, really, I didn't count the Rangers the first time, because really it was only an American League contract that he received. 5 times that this guy's gone through organizations, and he finally gets a long-term deal. So just goes to show that you should never give up, and if you believe in yourself and you work hard enough, that things can happen. This guy's been a star his whole career, and he's finally getting the recognition and the long-term deal that he deserves. Now obviously the Vegas Golden Knights have been a huge surprise this year. I'm planning on doing a video soon discussing them as a team, not just as individuals here. But so stay tuned for that. But let me know in the comments down below, do you think this contract with Jonathan Marchessault was well deserved? And I guess the other thing you can leave a comment is, did you realize how much of an offensive star he's been his whole career? I know until I got digging into it, I didn't, because based on where he's played, he just hasn't gotten the recognition. And that happens quite a bit. So stay tuned for future videos, and we'll be talking to you soon. Don't forget as well, we're doing a subscriber giveaway when we hit 200 subscribers. So if you haven't already done so, consider hitting that subscribe button now. There's a link in the description with the video giving you all the details on the giveaway. Keep watching Top Shelf Hockey.